Ryan, the most interesting thing that we heard when we were in Indianapolis is how this quarterback market, how the quarterback class is going to end up turning out. It seems pretty clear that most teams have Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, as their number one guy in the class. And if we look even further than that, it sounds like the Cleveland Browns really value him at number two and they want to find the quarterback of their future. This could then create an opportunity for the New York Giants to trade up to first overall to get their guy and to get Cam Ward in order to solve their own desperate situation. So this is going to start to create what is going to be a heated battle for QB1 in the next coming weeks.
Well, there's been a fascinating conversation about if there's a quarterback in this class that is worthy of mortgaging your future or some potential draft capital to trade up to. But I think it's interesting when you think of Cleveland Browns are only at number two. If they want to move up one spot, it's not going to be a crazy amount of draft capital. You also have the New York Giants at number three if they want to jump in front of the Browns. And then even down the list, I mean, like the New York Jets and the Las Vegas Raiders are both within the top 10. So they will have to give up more than what the Browns or the Giants would. But overall, it's not going to be like this crazy haul that we have seen in some past years. So I think the demand is not going to be as high on – I think that the demand of draft capital let up is not going to be quite as daunting as some people would anticipate. Now, the biggest thing, though, Joe, is we've been talking about for months now, the battle between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders as the top overall quarterback. While I do think there are several teams that do have Shedeur as their top guy in this class, the vast majority from conversations that I had in Indianapolis with scouts and NFL personnel just and other sources is that Cam Ward seems to be the guy that is pretty significantly the number one quarterback. And that difference is the difference in skill sets, arm talents, and just overall upside that you bring with that number one overall selection. So the market, the demand for Cam Ward, I think is a lot better than maybe some people thought it would be at some points because Sam Darnold's, Aaron Rodgers, maybe a Kirk Cousins at some point. It's not the best veteran market that's going to be available in free agency overall after Matt Stafford chose to stay put in Los Angeles with the Rams. So I think there is going to be heavy demand for Cam Ward at number one overall.
Right, and this isn't saying that we don't think Shedeur Sanders can't be a good pro, but it's kind of funny that like we had this debate and we broke down both prospects, and now that you start to hear from the teams like we got to in Indianapolis, it really wasn't much of a race. It was Cam Ward. And I think that Shedeur Sanders is going to land where he does. One of the things that I found really interesting, CBS Sports was reporting on this, and this isn't from like directly our own sourcing, but it sounded like Shedeur Sanders is kind of mailing it in on some of the interviews that he was doing because he was deliberately and tactfully trying to kind of weed out some of the teams he didn't want to go to in order to motivate the ones that he really liked by being engaged in those spots for that to be the potential team that he plays for. I don't think on draft day that Shedeur Sanders, if he's sitting there for a few picks, I don't think he's going to be disappointed. I think that this is all part of their plan because they want him to land with a specific team.
Yeah, I mean, he comes obviously from a football family. He comes from having a dad who was a Hall of Fame player, right, in Deion Sanders and head coach and Coach Prime. So I think that he is one that will understand the long-term value of going to the right situation with the right supporting cast and trying to get to that second contract ultimately, right? So some players, I think, just want to go first overall. They want to go super early because it's kind of it's an accomplishment, right? And you get to say, I was the first overall draft pick. And that's great, but having a successful career and getting to that second contract is much more important than what your draft selection ultimately was. So I do think that they are going to be a little bit more selective. Doesn't mean forcing the hand of teams, but it means that they understand that fit is very important for the quarterback position. And honestly, I think that's pretty smart for Shedeur Sanders in his camp.
Folks, let us know in the comments, do you believe that Cam Ward is QB1 and he will be the first overall pick? Hit the like button and subscribe, and we will talk to you later.